Alright, so let's see an example that how to create a framework, the framework that we discussed into a Java project. Alright. Let's go to Eclipse. I will be creating a project, Maven project with, let's say, create a simple project, and there I'm going to say project name as com.vikas.learning. So let's say O3 framework. Okay, that's our topic. So I'm saying O3 framework as the project name. Let's say finish. It's going to take a while to create that project. Once it is done, we need to add the dependencies to the pom.xml. Okay, so I will just Google that dependency on Maven website. So let's say Selenium Maven dependency, and there just find out, okay, I got it. So Maven information link, and there you will see a dependency tag. So latest version of Selenium is 3.11. Alright. There is a question from Sagar. Do we have Maven project option in Mars and Oxygen Eclipse? Yes, Sagar. You will only see the Maven option in Mars and Oxygen only. Also in Neon. So Mars, Neon, Oxygen. These three Eclipse will have built-in Maven. If you have older Eclipse version, then you will have to install it manually. So how to install Maven manually? It's a separate story, but okay, I will just quickly tell you that. M2E. Okay, so this is the instruction you need to follow. Or what you can do is go to the marketplace simply. Yeah, that's the easiest option. Go to marketplace and just type Maven for Eclipse, or just say Google Maven. Okay, it's going to take some time to refresh the list of all the plugins which are there. Okay, it's still loading. Alright, hit enter. Yeah, let me tell you which one you have to select. So if you say Maven, okay, it's taking some time because marketplace uses the online repository. So you need to keep some patience. Alright, so you will see Tycho build. I don't want Tycho build. Maven integration for Eclipse Luna. I don't think this is an official, I guess. Is it official? It could be, but not this one, not this one, not this one. So M2E, Maven integration for Eclipse. This is what you need to install. I think so. You have to install Maven integration for Eclipse. Now there are two Maven integration for Eclipse. Maven integration for Eclipse, that is Luna. This one is for Luna and newer. So this is going to work, or anything which is suitable for your version. So this is what you have to install, Maven integration for Eclipse. Okay. Alright, so I will just close it. It is already installed on my system. You can see that. Let me check this one also. Yeah, this is also installed. Alright. The reason is with the Mars and Oxygen and Neon, it comes by default. So you don't have to install. Fine. So let me go back to the project that we created. So I want to create a framework. So this is going to be a framework project. Okay. All the framework code I will write into src main Java. All the test script I will write into src test Java. All right. So very first thing is we need to have dependencies. So open pom.xml. Okay, open pom.xml, and there create a dependencies tag and just put dependency tag that we have already copied. Also we will require test ng dependency. Group ID is org.testng, artifact ID testng, and the version which is suitable for my Eclipse is 6.9.10. Perfect. So these are the two things which I have added into my Eclipse project. Let's close it and close this one also. Come back here. Snaps util, you see that, right? Okay, that's a old project, so I'm going to close this. I don't want. Okay, so this is a framework project. Close everything else. It creates confusion that which project you are working on, or this Java file is coming from which project. So I'm just saying close unrelated project to avoid that confusion. So say okay. Perfect. So I have that project created. Maven dependencies are also added. You can see all these Maven dependencies are added. Presently, Selenium 3.11 is the latest, and that is what I'm using. So in this framework, going to the SRC test Java, let's start with a basic test case. So right click new test. I want to create the first, some sample test suite. Okay, I'm saying sample test. That's a class. I'm writing @test. Let's wait for some time because this is the first time you try to open this smart intelligence feature. So public void, let's say test case 1. Okay, this is the simplest code I want to do. And in this test case, what we generally did is we created object something like this, so driver equal to new Chrome driver and blah 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 stuff, but I won't be doing that again here, So this is one thing. Also we set a property. The property is not a system.println, system dot set property. Okay, and there I will set a property as WebDriver dot Chrome dot driver. Pass on the driver path. So in my case, my driver is present at eDrive / driver / Chrome driver.exe. Okay, so I just set a driver. So this is like a common code, right? To launch your browser. So what I'm going to do is, this is a common code, I will just cut it from here. Okay. If you remember, the discussion that we had is, we have a base class. Okay, this is our base class, and base class is having some common code. Then it should go to the parent class. Okay, so parent class is base test, and base test is a core framework. So I'm going to SRC main Java. There I will create class base test. Now why into SRC main Java? Because this is core of my framework. So base test, I'm just creating it here, and then you can write whatever things that you want into your class. So the very first thing is I want WebDriver to be declared, because in all the test cases I will be using the driver, and I want this driver to be accessible in the derived classes. So I will make it protected. By making it protected, if you remember the Java, we already learned about this. So public, private, protected. By making a protected member, this member will be accessible in all the derived classes. All right. So driver will be accessible in the derived classes. The another thing is, we already learned before method. Remember the test engine configuration method. So before method, it's a test engine annotation which helps, or which is automatically executed before any test method. Okay, so there I will just paste this 2 line of code. So the code which I'm pasting, okay, guys, make sure that, okay, see this class member and this is local variable. So if you declare the same variable in two different scope, it is valid. So don't do that mistake, you know. I'm just going to say driver equal to, because if you declare it again, then it creates another driver object, you know. It is not referring to the same object because this is a class member and this becomes a local variable. So don't write WebDriver, simply say this dot driver or driver. You can say this dot driver. This means current object's driver. Okay, anything is fine. So this line is going to launch your browser, and I will also write @ after method annotation, and after method annotation is again coming from testng. So in cleanup, what I will do is I will just check if driver is not equal to null. Is not equal to null. That means it is not. That means it is initialized. You know, that driver object is still exist. So I will say driver dot quit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to close my browser. Okay, after the method, after that test case execution. So now coming to the sample test. We have sample test. This is a test code. Okay, test code should go in SRC test, whereas the framework's core part should go into main. So this sample test should extend. What is that? That's a base test. All right. So the sample test should extend base test, and there you can write some code. For example, driver.get. I want to open driver.get some URL, http://google.com. Now, why this driver is accessible? You know, if you mouse over on the driver, you can see that driver is coming from base test. So base test is a base class of my sample test, and you know, via that I can access the driver object. So this is like directly accessing the data member of the parent class, you know, but it is considered, it is not a good practice. So what I will do is data, most of the time it is made private. So if I say private, then in my test case, I won't be able to access the driver. It will say that driver is not visible, you know, the driver object is not visible. Okay, so the solution is you can make it protected, but the problem is I don't want to make data protected, you know. So sorry, I want to make all the data as a private. I don't want to make this public or protected or default. What I want is I want still to give access. So how to do it? So I'm writing a method, a public method. You know, this method can be used anywhere, or you can create a private protected. I'm creating a protected method. That method will return object of WebDriver. Method name is simply driver, open bracket, close bracket. What is the method name? It is just driver, open bracket, close bracket, and inside that class I will return driver object. Okay, so instead of directly accessing this method, this object, I will call this method whenever I need a driver object, and this method is what? Protected. It will be accessible in all the test classes that I create. Right now I just have one. So instead of just saying driver dot, I will say driver dot driver, open bracket, close bracket, and then I will say get. Because this is a method, this method returns object of WebDriver, and on that object I am calling a get method. Okay, so it is that simple. Now what I will do is, this is a Google search page, right? So driver dot, again I need a driver, right? So driver, open bracket, close bracket. So this is a method call. Whenever you need a driver class in your test case or something, just say driver, open bracket, close bracket. This is a method call, and this method is coming from the base test. Okay, and it is a protected. You can see that yellow icon. Yellow means protected. Okay. Okay, so let's take some question and answer session. So I see some questions. The first question is, what is the purpose of creating method as protected for accessing the driver object? Now see, I made this driver object as private, and to give access to the driver, I made a protected method. So by making it protected method, this method can be called in the derived classes. So if you remember, guys, object-oriented programming. So what we learn in object-oriented programming concept, so we keep the data, oops, sorry. So what we do is we keep the data at the center and we write methods around it. So now, for example, in my case, the data is driver object, and the method which I'm writing to access driver is driver open bracket close bracket. That's the method, okay? So if somebody wants to access the driver, he has to go through this method first. Hope it is clear now. So this is like kind of more secure approach, and you get more better control over your driver. So that's one thing. And hope it is clear, by making a driver method, we get more control over a driver. I don't want anybody to directly access the data member. All right, perfect. So next question is, driver method and the driver object name, are same. So is it confusing? So yeah, it might sound confusing for people, like the method name is also driver. You can see that method name is also driver, as well as the object name is also driver. But guys, if you are writing driver open bracket close bracket, that's a method. If you don't write it, you are directly saying driver dot, that means you are accessing object. But guys, both are using the same object, internally. So you see that driver method returns the driver. So only the difference is in test, in test class, you have to say driver open bracket close bracket. You cannot directly say driver because it is not accessible. So you have to just call simply add brackets. That means I'm calling the driver method. And now it is easy, right? So again, for reading purpose also, driver open bracket close bracket is more easier. I could have given some other name, for example, let's say get driver on something like that. I can do that. But again, for every time you will write get driver dot get driver dot find element, get driver dot something. So that is again not very user friendly to read, right? So the better is just rename it to driver. So it depends on user to user, it depends on every developer, how he wants to go with that. Okay, so yeah, this is it. There is one more question. Any reason for keeping base test as an abstract class? I have not created base test as abstract. Oh, I have created base test. Let me remove that, I just removed it. Okay, that's fine. I don't have to create as an abstract class only. You can create a normal class also. But guys, I don't want anybody to create the object of base test explicitly. Base test, the purpose of base test is only for inheritance. I want other test classes to inherit base test. So that is the reason I will make it abstract. Hope it is clear why base test is abstract. Because I don't want anybody to create direct object of base test. I want this class only for inheritance, and so my test class is extending base test. All right. This is partial code. Let me comment it. There is a next question. Why we add base test in main? So yes, that's a good question. So you can see that we have added base test in SRC main Java and actual test case into SRC test Java. Okay. So there is no any reason basically, how you should do it. But what, my standard is, let's say this is main folder and this is test folder. Okay. So what is my standard is, all the things which are framework related, let's say that's a part of framework. Okay, this is framework component, this is another framework component, this is framework component. All framework components should go into main. That's my standard. And all the test cases I want to see into all the test cases I want to see into test folder. So it becomes like, creating a two separate folder. It is like segregating these two things together. So by saying main, this is completely a framework. So I will say framework core part. And this is for test case part. Okay. So I hope it is clear now, where to write which component. So base test and the page. Base test, again, page class, or you can call base page or anything else, any other utility. This is all reusable. This is all reusable. I will be keeping this thing into main folder. I hope it is clear now. And the test case related part, for example, test cases, okay, test classes, all the part which is related with the test cases, then page, object, elements, all these things I will keep it into the test folder. All right. This is more specific to test, more specific to application, and this is like generic thing which can be used for any web page, any test case, any application. Okay. Reusable generic thing. All right. Let's come back to the project. So driver.get. This line will open the google.com web page into your browser. All right. So if you want to do anything else, any further automation, you can just keep on writing script here. So I will say driver dot find element. I'm saying by dot name. I want to find it by name, and the name is actually Q. The name Q means the text box you see, right? We have a text box in a Google web page. The text box is having a name as Q. So the next step, what I'm going to do is, see, this is only going to find the element. On that element, I want to perform send keys. So let's say I'm searching for Vikas Thange. Okay, let's say I'm searching my name. Perfect. So this is going to type Vikas Thange. Now the next step is click on Google search button. Okay, for that again inspect driver.find element, that element name, and just call click method. Guys, driver in my framework it is method. We are not directly accessing the object of a driver. We are accessing the driver object indirectly via this driver method. Okay, don't get again confused with this. But this is going to be easy after like 1 or 2 days of practice. So in that case, you can see find element and some name and dot click. All right, but the problem is I don't know what is the locator, so I will use a shortcut way. What you can do is or just enter or submit form. So I'm going to submit a form. So I will say driver dot find element, take any element from the form. I'm taking that same element, that is the text box. After typing, I will say submit. So submit, it means it happens the default action. So if you are on some form, registration form or login form, I type username, I type your password, and then I'm just hitting enter key. It actually tries to submit the form. So that is what I am trying to do. So just hitting the enter, it's like submitting the form. Yeah, there is an extra semicolon, but it doesn't really matter. If you have any extra semicolon, that's perfectly fine. Java automatically ignores those semicolons. So I just hit enter key. Now I want to read the web page URL. So how do we read a web page URL? String, let's say page URL is equal to driver.getCurrent. Oh, don't say driver directly because we access driver from method. So driver dot get current URL. Very good. So that get current URL method returns me the page URL of my current browser, and I want to have assertion. So for assertion, we already learned some asserts. So assert class, then methods assert equal, assert not equal, assert true, assert false, assert null, assert not null, and assert fail. So these are the different methods we already learned in the TestNG topic. So assert dot assert true. I'm saying I want to add a condition that page URL should start with http://www.google.com slash, I want to say google.com, sorry, it is co.in slash search. So this is my expected condition, So page URL should start with that URL, So this starts with method, this will return Boolean value. If that URL is starting with the given URL, so it will return true, and that is what is my expected, right? You see, what is the expected value? The expected value is true. But if starts with method is returning false, then it was not matching with the expected true, and the test case is going to fail. So for that, I will add a failure message also. Let's say your test case is getting failed. The end user who's looking into the report should be able to understand that test case failure message clearly. So I'm just going to add that message here. Message is let's say page URL. So what is the page URL, guys? Again, say driver open bracket close bracket dot get current URL was not starting with, I will say, was not starting with, you can write that expected URL. So this was my expected URL. Perfect. So I gave a full failure message. If you want more details, I will just add it into a new line so that you can see the complete code in one screenshot. So that's it. This is my test case is completed. And if you go to the base test, after method is already written, and what that after method is going to do, it will close the browser. And yeah, I think I am done with the simple test case. Let's try to run that test case. Right click, run as test-ng test. Let's wait for some time. Okay, test started. I'm waiting for that browser to launch. Okay, here is my browser. Okay, it's loading Google page. The Vikas Thange got typed and entered. And can you see that URL? That URL was actually http:// something, So let's see, the test case got failed. Let's try to find out why that test case got failed. So what you can do is you can just scroll up or just switch to this result of running method. So go here, click on the test method name. There you see, the message that page URL. What is the page URL? https://. But the expected value I gave is only HTTP. But remaining part is actually matching. So http www.google.co.in/search. So the only thing I have to give is HTTPS, change here also, and run the test case again. Because it was HTTPS and I was only giving HTTP. So that was the problem. Okay, now you can see https://google.com. Okay, the page is closed and the test case got passed. So this is just the beginning, guys. Okay, we have not actually started with a framework. This is just a basic thing. I will go little bit slowly because I can understand, there are many people who are learning framework for the first time. If you already have some basic knowledge about a framework, maybe this will help you to standardize it in a more better way. But this is just like, baby step we have taken towards the framework. So there are lots of things that we still need to learn. But for today, I think that's all for today. And we will continue with the same topic. So what we learned today is we only created a test class with a test and we are using a base test. So only this part is we have done. Only this part is done. We still have to work on lots of things, guys. So we will keep that doing every day. Before that, if you have any questions, let me know. Thank you. Thank you very much for attending this session.